New year, new me. That's what's often said around this time. People, time and again, come into each new year with goals for how they're going to be different than they were previously. There's something to be said about that desire that kicks in to make the new year the best one yet. But the thing is, talking about being new and actually becoming new are two very different things. It's hard to reform ourselves. It's hard to become brand new. So how do we make it happen? This week on Soul Fuel, we're going to talk about it. When talking about habits and developing good ones for a new year, the first thing that we have to understand is what exactly a habit is. And we get insight into this through seeing a struggle that Paul mentions in Romans chapter 7. It's here that Paul says, "For the good that I would, I do not. But the evil which I would not, that I do." What Paul is saying here is that there are good things that he intends to do that he doesn't end up doing. And that there are bad things that he tries to avoid doing that he does anyway. And this statement is really important when understanding what exactly a habit is. Because a habit is more than simply what we do on a regular basis, but our habits are behaviors that we perform automatically. It's the things that we do without any planning. It's the actions that we take without any prompting or effort. And the uncomfortable yet undeniable reality that applies to all of us is that we are sinners. We have a natural inclination to say and do things that we shouldn't. And what this means is that we will naturally develop habits that are not good. And even though we may see this as a problem, and we may want to do better, it won't happen unless we take the steps to make a change. One key in being able to develop good habits and change bad ones is recognizing the root. So often it will be said that someone has a drinking problem, an anger problem, a procrastination problem. And while these assessments might be accurate, I would argue that none of those things are actually the core issue. Because with any sin, there is a root problem that causes people to commit the particular sin. This goes beyond just having a sin nature too. What the Bible says in James is that sin happens when we are drawn away from God after our own lust. What this means is that every time anyone commits a sin, it's because they are lusting after something. And that thing pulls them away from the will of God. So as we reflect on our habits and we look at the things that we do that we aren't proud of, the question that we have to ask is, what are we lusting after? What is it that's pulling us away from God? Is it a desire to be comfortable? Is it an urge to appease our egos? Is it a resistance to humility? Is it a desperation to fit in? Why do we really have the bad habits that we do? And while these questions can be hard to answer, they are key to our growth. Because even if we are able to hold off on particular habits for a season, our sin will always resurface until we truly get to the root of the problem. As we try to develop better habits in our lives, It's crucial to understand that routines lead to reformation. In Acts chapter 20, verse 17, the Bible says, "And when they were come to him, he said unto them, Ye know, from the first day that I came into Asia, after what manner I have been with you at all seasons, serving the Lord with all humility of mind, and with many tears and temptations, which befell me by the lying in wait of the Jews." Right here, what's important to catch is that Paul describes the manner or routine which he served others. Paul explains that he made a habit of serving with humility. And this is actually really powerful because the truth is that Paul didn't just automatically start doing this. And we won't just automatically start doing right in our own lives. If we want to have a routine of working hard or spending time with God, or developing a skill or gift that means a lot to us, we need a plan. We have to outline the ways in which we're going to go about doing better. And when we first start out with the plan, whatever it may be, it will be a struggle. It will feel hard. But through pushing ourselves through it early on, eventually going through the routine will become natural. One thing that makes a New Year's resolution so hard is that no matter how well we plan, how clear it is to us that we need to do better, or how much we want to improve in a certain area of our lives, there will always be a temptation to go back into our old ways. And this is why it's really, really important for us to do whatever we can to remove the temptation to backslide. The Bible says in Exodus chapter 12, verse 15, 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the seventh day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. So, to give some insight into what's happening, instructions are being given to the Israelites that they weren't supposed to eat leavened bread because leaven represented sin. If they did eat the bread, they were cut from the roster. And in order to avoid being tempted to eat the bread that they weren't supposed to eat, they weren't even supposed to have the bread in their houses. That's what the verse is telling them, not to even have it available to them. And we can learn from the instruction given to the Israelites because we need to take precautions to remove the temptations that exist in our own lives. We need to make adjustments to ensure that we don't have easy access to what we shouldn't be doing. Because developing good habits all comes down to boundaries. It is key for us to change our environments, to distance ourselves from that which can cause us trouble, and to not position ourselves in a way that makes doing the wrong thing easy. Lastly, turning over a new leaf in 2022 will require us to lean on our villages. The Bible says in Proverbs 11:14 that where there is no counsel, the people fall. It is hard to change, and we cannot do it alone. That means for anyone under the sound of my voice looking to do something different in the new year, it's time to find an accountability partner. It's crucial to make and utilize connections within our church. And most importantly, we have to realize that it's okay to ask for help. Throughout the 66 books of the Bible, we see people transform their lives and do things above and beyond what they ever expected. But they didn't do it alone. Christianity truly is a team sport, and using that team will make it easier for us to be made new in a new year. New year, new me. That's what's often said around this time. People, time and again, come into each new year with goals for how they're going to be different than they were previously. There's something to be said about that desire that kicks in to make the new year the best one yet. But the thing is, talking about being new and actually becoming new are two very different things. It's hard to reform ourselves. It's hard to become brand new. So how do we make it happen? This week on Soul Fuel, we're going to talk about it.
Give you my all, I'm giving you all of me.